And yes, we had 10 guests, and I think it's a good time for us to kind of reflect, pause a bit, and
Yep.
see what we've done so far. Also kind of cover the experience, how we felt about it, what we can do better.
For sure.
And yeah, so this episode is just going to be us kind of reflecting, and it's an interesting time to be reflecting as well, because
Yeah.
we are the month of September. It's a transition to from kind of summer to autumn. It's a good time to pause, reflect, cleanse, and remove the crap that you potentially have been doing and you want to kind of change. It's always a good time to adopt new ways of doing things.
Yeah, and I don't know if for those of you who believe in the moon cycles, it's like new moon apparently. I have this app that tells me these random things. So yeah, I just saw it like 2 minutes before starting this recording. So yeah, it's a time for cleansing and resetting for sure. Um, yeah, I guess Guni, like how have you felt so far with DTP, Dotiv, the podcast? Since we started in January, like when we started
Mhm.
prepping and doing all the groundwork and contacting practitioners and doctors. How do you feel
Yeah.
about it, like our journey so far?
Well, I think first of all, for we've it's the first time for both of us, right? This
Yeah.
podcast, and I think it has been an ongoing learning journey, not only from like the logistics of how a podcast work to like literally. And I think you can talk about your experience in just editing and understanding also about how I think now you can become a sound engineer, if I'm not if I'm not mistaken.
I think
uh,
so. I mean, I'm not gonna like dim down the effort that they probably have to go through and what they have to learn to get like a
Definitely,
sound
yeah.
engineering degree, right? But it's so interesting, like because I was like looking at different podcasts and like how they would do their editing process, and a lot of podcasts out there are like 45 minutes to an hour, like the ones
Mhm.
that I listen to, that have huge followings, right? And so they don't necessarily do a lot of editing to dumb down the episode, or not dumb down, but like reduce the episode. And so
Mhm.
what I found interesting is that like when I was just reading and listening to people's reviews of their reflections and stuff,
Mm.
they were saying that, oh, editing like took them like 20 minutes. And I was like, what? 20 minutes? No way. Like, why is it that ours is like so long? But you have to definitely take into account that I'm new to this. And secondly, we are making like shorter episodes so that it's like more
Yeah.
digestible information for like our listeners. And because the cam
Right.
industry is not necessarily like straightforward, right? So we can't bombard them and overwhelm them with so much information at once.
Definitely. And when we're doing podcasting, we're having guests that usually don't have the experience in being concise and short. And so there are some editing to be done
Yeah.
because of that. And but definitely I think the effort in learning the logistics behind podcasting has been still we're trying to figure out what is the best way to even reach out more people. Even that's why we ventured on our last episode on YouTube as well, to put our content and our faces
Oh no, yeah, that's been
on
a
YouTube.
that's been an interesting experience coming to terms with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
um
and being okay to be on
Camera.
like on camera and kind of forever out there.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about the forever aspect, but it's more like, yeah, like it's kind of daunting because you doing the audio part felt like, okay, this is achievable. More, it's like a shorter gap to bridge, right? But when you do a video piece of content, it's totally different, and I'm not equipped yet with like video editing. And so
Mm,
I'm like, okay, we need to get these takes right in that one moment, right? And it's so
exactly.
stressful because, and it almost feels like it's acting, right? Because you really have to like know your lines, or like kind of, yeah,
Right.
not
Yeah,
in that,
yeah. I
not
see
in the
what you
sense of like
mean.
you're taking on a presence, but just knowing your lines and then saying it in a more natural way.
Yeah,
So
and being conscious that you're being recorded, because sometimes when
yeah.
you're not, then you're a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, yeah. Free
But
to
yeah,
say
so
whatever
that's
you want to say.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Um, yeah, but like, how do you think, like, so other than, that's the kind of the journey in like getting into the editing and like the process of creating our podcast, right? Um,
Right.
but how did you feel, I guess, juggling this and then like, doing Dotiv, like Dotiv, the business, and then
Yeah.
also just trying to like survive, like get food on
Mm,
the table kind of thing.
definitely. And I mean, we are all in this together, right? So now we have a bit of we have a team. We're small. We're still small, but it's about, as you said, we're all juggling our day to day, making sure that we're driven from our passion, which is making sure that people have access to complementary and alternative healthcare, and for that, it's not something that's going to happen over time. And we always talk about this together with Thasha, but um, just us being able to navigate through life every day.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's not easy because you're doing, so for example, the podcast is here to kind of bridge the gap between like the awareness bit, people kind of getting to know more about the different modalities we are kind of promoting, and getting to know individuals as well, and not only from that, getting to understand, like having learnings behind those conversations that you can
Yeah.
implement in your day to day. So like having that, which is really fun because literally like you're basically preparing a conversation that is going to be useful for you. So it's, for
Yeah,
me, it's
yeah.
really fun.
Yeah, agreed.
It doesn't feel like work. However, it takes an amount of time. So you have to be able to fit it in your day to day. And the day to day for me, we'll go over yours, is, I have the job kind of that pays bills and also is driven by, my mission and my passion in health. But I do also have to get Dotiv Life to,
Come
running as
life.
well, through exactly for it to come to life. And that goes with, dealing with development and making sure that we go over like onboarding practitioners. And so just juggling that sometimes can take a toll on your mental health or even
Yeah.
physical health. So what about you, Tasha? How did you feel about, this whole juggling?
It's definitely been a learning curve, but I think I've learned a lot. I mean, through you, and then through just life. Like, I mean, in Malaysia, because we have a lockdown, so like maybe I've pushed myself in that sense. On one side, pushing myself, and the other side is like I have nothing else to do, so maybe I should really just go all in here.
Yeah.
And so it's like it's been strange and interesting and insightful because like I never realized I could be that person who would just be working like and kind of living in my work. I didn't think I was that
Right.
person. In the past, like with other jobs, I would have to do it because they were like people or like, the system was such that you had to just show up for them. But now it's different because you're doing it on your own merit, right?
You're
Your own
showing
account.
up for yourself. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like I never question whether I want to show up. It's more just like when do I cut off? Now it's like the opposite side. Like when do I stop doing like more? Like
Right.
even after ending calls with you or like the team, right? Then it's I'm on my phone and I'm scrolling through social media. And sometimes it
Yeah.
feels like I'm
Always
scrolling because I'm
on.
just, mindlessly scrolling. But I'm always like, in the back of my mind thinking, oh, this person could be a practitioner. This person I could like interview. Or this content is great. We should like, kind of replicate some sort of structure like this. So I feel almost like I'm always switched on, but it
Yeah.
doesn't feel bad like having this part like activated, but at the same time it's been challenging to know when to take a break because I
Right.
always feel like I'm on the lookout, so that has been an
Yeah.
interesting challenge. I think you would probably relate right to this.
No, completely. I mean, that's the journey of the entrepreneur, I guess, is that you're always, because you're making it for your own and the people with who you're working with, and so switching on and off is not really a thing.
It's just
You
on.
always kind of, yeah,
It's like
you
it's
have
almost
to be
like
on all the time. Yeah.
sorry, I mean, I was just thinking of the analogy of like dimming the light. Those like
Yeah.
those buttons, right? Those rolly things where you dim it, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
so it's like maybe at night when you're sleeping it's kind of low, but then you're kind of dreaming about it too. And then
Definitely.
when it's daytime, it's turned up.
It's true that, and it's true that having people with who you work, or like a team, it forces you to a certain extent to know when to start dimming that light, or you're like, okay, now I need to like slow down a little bit, because like life around you is kind of going through that phase of the days ending. So just try to go into that too. So it's a learning curve with regards to that as well, like how to adjust our lives outside of work, and I put quotes there.
Yeah.
And an interesting aspect for me as well, I feel, is how we've evolved from that first episode we released in March, I think,
May,
if I'm not
actually.
mistaken.
May.
May.
I mean,
May.
we started recording in like March.
Right. And how far we've come so far, and like what we've done, how we've evolved, and how even our lives have changed according to, because like, I mean, you're still doing this from Malaysia and I'm doing this from London, and we still we made it work. And I think that for that, I think we deserve a self tap.
Yeah, pat in the back.
Yes.
But it's true. And I think it's interesting to like coordinate. Like, I think we understand each other's like rhythms in that sense. And so sometimes we're like, we have to do a recording really late for me in Malaysia, but it's like daytime for you, to accommodate, the different practitioners or doctors. And then flip side where, we have to do it really early for you because it's the practitioner is available at that time for based in like Asian timing, right? So I think it's nice that we're able to find a balance in that sense and work with each other's, I guess, rhythms. But what I find also really helpful, like therapeutic, as you were saying earlier in the journey, is that a lot of the conversations we have, although like, okay, the editing part of it takes time and it's effort, right? And then putting it together for the social media is another like chapter of that. But the lessons and the advice and the information you receive through the conversations are so, I guess, useful and practical, I find. And I find myself like in the middle of the day, like realizing, oh yeah, like I'm feeling a bit sleepy. And I remember like an episode with you, the Chinese medicine practitioner. She was telling me how, oh, you can do like acupressure kind of practices, like tapping yourself. And so I would do that to like kind of wake me up or like move the energy in my body, and didn't realize how much of an influence all these little bites of wisdom would really help me in my day to day. Do you find that you're the same?
Yeah, same. And it goes from like even recording the episodes with them. So for example, say there was like an episode with Dr. Gaia from the WHO, and she when we were speaking about our current realities within COVID, it was kind of a therapeutical like experience as well, because whatever I was talking about was fresh, and like the feelings or the emotions were very kind of raw. And so it felt that we were kind of going through and finding a solution or a way to kind of approach that situation. So from recording even those episodes, I felt that it was very much like a beneficial aspect, even though it's crazy and hectic, etc. When I'm recording or when we having these conversations, there's like a very therapeutical aspect of it. And then, as you said, when we were talking with the team and trying to like figure out how we want to create a narrative around what we create, that as well, you go into you're figuring out, okay, what is the best way to bite those, to create pieces or communicate with people, engage with people in a way that will make sense and they can benefit as much as we kind of do. I think in kind of the critical side, I think we're not yet there. We need to be a bit more better at finding a way to engage with our audience, so understanding more how they feel about our content. But that will come, the more we create, the more we'll receive feedback. So that's kind of, I guess, through this episode, if people are hearing, we're always open for feedback, and because that's the only way we can grow and learn and improve.
For sure. Yeah, agreed. Definitely. I think we definitely have a big room for growth, but also to acknowledge the fact that we've come
Definitely.
from like nothing, like knowing nothing about podcasting, but just wanting to have a outlet to like, you know, bring this information and bridge the gap for, you know, Dotiv as the business, and also just like our desire to have alternative healthcare and medicine for people out there, right? So I think in that aspect, we are, you know, on the path, we are on the journey, but there's always, you know, things that we can learn and pick up from other podcasts, from other you know, from listeners and people who are just interested in the field. Yeah.
What would you say are your kind of key takeaways while, you know, while doing this? Like, what are your 3 top key takeaways of actually starting this journey with the DTP?
You mean like in the conversations with practitioners, or just the overall process? Both.
Overall, if you had to, like, yeah, because like it's like, you know, we kind of said, okay, we reviewed what we've done, and we gave ourselves, you know, taps, and like also this is something we need to focus on. Now that we are at the present here, it's like, what are the things that you think are takeaways that you want to, you know, hone with you as you go forward with recording and continuing DTP?
I think, like, I guess the video aspect for sure, like to improve on that, kind of feeling more natural and just a bit more like not opposite of awkward. I don't even know, like, you know, what that would look like, but you know, just feeling more comfortable basically in front of a camera while, you know, having a natural conversation. Especially when I think it'll be better when we do it with like a practitioner, but you know, when we're doing the ones with just two of us, where we're doing the intro and outro, those ones were a lot more challenging because it's just the two of us.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think definitely curating better content, and then maybe having, you know, a better flow of conversation through curating more better content, you know, and that prep work that we do, having kind of that structure laid out. And of course, definitely, if like practitioners are listening to this, like if you guys, you know, can agree to dates with us, then we have like a bandwidth for the next like 6 months. That would be wonderful. So then we can actually like prep. Yeah.
Right.
So I guess
like
that's another one.
Our how to say plan as we're going forward is really to have a practitioner every week, and for us it's about building up, and so there's no kind of pause for now. It's like those moments where we reflect, but the idea is that we just keep on building and keep on meeting practitioners and keep on spreading their wisdoms. So definitely.
And building our community, like a adoptive community, right, of practitioners, of the whole ecosystem, bringing everyone together on the platform.
100%.
And also, like, you know, eventually when things are a bit more safer for, you know, mass crowds and whatnot, and also once we're a bit more established, then to have like events and these sort of like workshops and kind of retreats of you know, with Dotiv, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And what about you, Guni?
I think not to kind of pick up on some of the things you've said, but being camera friendly, voice friendly, it's something that, you know, I used to cringe. Oh my God, I used to cringe when I saw myself on video, or even my voice. I was just like, oh my goodness, this is not okay. And I still, to this point, I'm sometimes very cringeful when I see myself. But you know, it is what it is. There are some things I can adjust, but and it's learning how to be more concise with what I wanna say, having my posture right when I speak.
Are you hearing your mom's voice in the background? Like, sit up straight.
Maybe. So yeah, it's just like being a bit less shy and just like, you know, very being so that I, you know, getting slowly over that. And I think the key takeaway for me is the conversations with practitioners and being able to gear our conversation, that the conversation has become even more insightful when we kept in mind our audience, and our audience is like millennials who are, in a transition, which could be, sorry, as a woman, you could be like either being a young mother or having to take care of, different people at home, from, your grandparents to your parents to your children, or even, juggling your professional life, having all these different aspects, from socializing to accelerating in your professional career, or just like chilling as well. But that's like, we're really around, this millennial and predominantly women. And so when we kept that in mind, I felt that we were much more very much targeted in what the practitioner could give us. And that I think that was very much insightful. I saw the difference, and I got some feedback from friends where they're like, I never thought that, this could be a conversation that could be on Dotiv, but if you frame it properly, I think that it could be content pieces that people could relate to. And this is what we're trying to do. It's making content that is relatable. So I guess these are the two.
Yeah, that's great. I think you hit the nail on the head on that. Actually, there's the focus that it helped us gain, right? Through understanding our demographic, our target audience. Yeah, I think those are really, it's been like an interesting couple of months, well, actually more than a couple of months, a lot of months, almost the whole year actually.
To be honest, I think we kind of started even talking about DTP way before, even last year, right? So 2020, 2020, end of 2020. So
we started with something else. But
we did. But this is reality, and this is like kind of everything. It's what is constant is change.
Yes,
so
correct.
And I think that what we've learned especially is to be okay to like, okay, we went with this, we started with like a format that was like that, and today we are thinking of, pivoting a bit on another format, and then in another 6 months it might look completely different. But that's fine. There's and that's the beauty of being able to create, is that within like a framework, because like that's creation. We kind of talked about it. That's creation just for the sake of it, without, that's fine, you can do it, but when it's within a business, you kind of have to create that framework so that you don't it's we talked about it, is daydreaming but with an anchor.
Yeah, true. Maybe William can do this quote for us.
Shout out to William, who's been working hard on our social media as well. So definitely.
Correct. And I think the concept, or the mindset we are, I guess, trying to adopt and remind ourselves regularly is this is literally a marathon. It's not a sprint. And so I think when we came in starting, we were like, oh, this is a sprint. And then it kind of quickly realized that no chance, this is not going to be a sprint. You're going to die if you think it's a sprint. So it's shifted very quickly, because we realized the burnout is real. So
within the pandemic, my goodness, yes, like double the pressure, because the thing is that literally, as you were saying, you're right now, Malaysia is a bit more in the lockdown phase, but when we were, even in the midst of it as well, we, like, London was also in lockdown, and you're always at home, or you're always, and so the opportunity of always be working was there, and the mental health could, take a toll. And thankfully, that's why we, having this conversation, having each other, speaking to, different people, kind of alleviates the, the heaviness and the heaviness, really. And so I think that is definitely something that we can evolve from. It's like learning from that space where we were like, crazy. It was very intense. but finding a way to make this a marathon as we go along. And also I think the fact that we are in an industry that has quite a bit of challenge with regards to its public knowledge. I think that the public currently has like some mixed views or feelings about it. I think there's like a general trend. It's not, I think there is a general trend where people are interested and willing to go into complementary and alternative medicine, but there's like a whole side of it that is a bit difficult to deal, because it's not as structured, and figuring that one out, and convincing people even for funding or even, you know, investments is another type of ball game, which again, as you said, we it's a marathon, we're here to stay, and but it comes with resilience. It comes with resilience, that's the word.
And stamina.
And I think that yes.
Yeah, I think you're right, and we just have to keep that, like, I think we have to like plaster that somewhere on like the wall or something. I don't know if
resilience and stamina.
Exactly, resilience and stamina, and like we should start every meeting like this: resilience and stamina.
and with a bit of meditation.
Yes.
And
which we haven't started yet, but we will.
I know, because like we just spoke about it with Dr. Gaia, right?
Yeah,
including this in our meetings. But yeah, it's not yet. I guess it's a process. We'll get there. I will get this right, but it's just that, you know, when you're into it, you have the meeting, you have 20 minutes, so you're like, okay, or 30 minutes, and you're like, okay, let's do this, and you think of it as a sprint, like on the methodology, and so at the end you're like, oh,
I forgot to do that.
We had to start. But
I actually thought today you're gonna start the meeting with that, and then I was like, oh no, because you paused it for a second, and then you were like, okay, let's go to this, and I was like, okay, never mind, let's just do it the next time.
yeah, because like today is
tight. Yeah,
tight,
that's
not. But I will hopefully from this month onwards, I'll put that as an intention.
Yep.
And hopefully this month it will.
I'll keep you in check.
All right, thank you, Thasha.
No, I don't have to, but you know, just saying.
No, but please do. That's why we're there for each other as well. So, and I mean, okay, sorry. And one of my biggest takeaway is I'm very grateful that I'm able to be in this journey with people I can rely on, and we can, you know, go forward together, because I think alone, not only is it hard, it's even harder, but having someone to kind of say, like, bounce off ideas with, and we're not just two of us, there's like a whole team behind. But I think that for DTP especially, I think that I'm very grateful for having you, Thasha, and being able to rely on this and walk stronger together.
Oh, ditto.
No, it's true, really.
It's true. Same here. I mean, I didn't say it, but I think I tell you this a lot of times as well, and you tell me the same offline. So I think the feelings are mutual.
And being grateful. Yeah, you know, it's like we were practicing it, basically some of our teachings through our practitioners, and which one was there was you know, resilience and gratitude. And I think that when you cultivate that, and I feel that really, like, if you're alone in this journey, it's doable. I'm not saying it's not, but I think it makes the journey much more nicer and bearable. So for that, thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you too. So like, as a closing, I'm inclined to ask you, what would be your like audacious kind of goal, or like what's the word, vision for DTP?
Well, you know, the more kind of profiles that we can have that have, you know, impact and reach, I think that at this point might sound a bit, you know, focused on one side, but I think that we have some speakers out there that could use our platform. We're not huge yet, but you know, having them on our platform would be amazing. So having kind of people who have a message and a contribution that could, increase our reach would be amazing. So that's kind of like the some of the goal with regards to the type of guests we want.
Anyone specific in mind?
Oh, I have so many.
Okay, tell me your top 3 at this point in time.
Okay.
I already know, but
I think we have the same. Okay, let's do our top 3.
Okay.
Okay, do your first.
We're gonna do a collective top 3 or
yeah, let's do a collective top 3, because otherwise,
okay.
People will be like, what is this?
Dr. Chatterjee, for sure.
Yes.
I think we both agree. Gabor Mate.
Yes.
That's like one of mine. Like, I don't know whether, definitely mine. Yeah. Number 3, what would you say?
Let me, because I have I'm torn to, like, because it's our last one, right? So
we can do 4. We can do 4.
Okay.
I think I know.
You know what? I'm thinking of Radhi, for example. Radhi
Shetty.
What's
Devolka?
Shetty,
I think
yeah.
Devolka is her last name. Radhi Devolka, I think.
Okay, because it's basically, if we can have, Jay Shetty and Radhi
together,
Shetty, I guess,
yes.
would be amazing.
Hell yes.
Because like she's into Ayurveda and she's an Ayurvedic, I think, nutritionist, but yeah. I'm not fully sure, and I think that she's quite, she's light in terms of the way she wants to provide her message, but yet very, very on point.
I would think like the ultimate honor would be Deepak Chopra.
Yes. Like, oh my goodness, Deepak Chopra. My goodness, he's actually number 1. I just want, sorry, Dr.
There's no ranking,
not that,
but
he's kind of, definitely. And actually Mark Hyman as well. Yes. I would love to have him as well.
I thought you were going to say his name, so I wanted to leave that to you. Yeah.
But the relationship, even if we could talk about relationship with, this French psychologist.
Esther Perel.
I think that if we
She's
one day
amazing.
can have, but like, this is us. This is like us daydreaming. So
it's not daydreaming. This is daydreaming with an anchor.
We're setting our intentions.
Yeah, we're manifesting for the future, right? Yeah, we're setting our intentions for the future, so we can manifest it. I don't doubt that we can. It's just that it's going to take some time and work.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, like even Gabor Mate, like if in a couple of years, if we have a bit more followership and more content out, I think he'd be willing to come on, because they replied, they gave us some feedback about what we need to do, and so we know.
I am positive. I'm optimistic but realistic, and we have a bit of a gap, but definitely we are working hard for it. So never say never.
Never say never, indeed. Well, with that, I think thank you guys for listening, and keep listening to our episodes and give us your feedback. And we'll see you next week with our new episode.
Until then, stay well.
Yes, correct.